welcome to Crafts, Laughs, and Chaos. My name is Rebecca, and welcome to my channel. And if you are a returning subscriber, welcome back. I'm going to take a minute and just say I appreciate all of the love and support from each and every one of you. Life is busy. Life is just so fast-paced, and it moves so fast. And for each and every one of you who take just a little moment out of your week and spend some time with me and watch my videos and watch everything that goes on at the Medical Engineer Show, thank you. Thank you so much for your support. And thank you for taking the time to, give me a few minutes of your time, and time is precious. And I appreciate it. You have no idea how much I appreciate. And I so much appreciate your support. It means everything to me, and I love each and every one of you. So I am back to crafting, and today I am doing a tier tray with just a little nod to Valentine's Day. It's not a Valentine's tier tray, it's just a little nod. So if you are just not into the whole Valentine's Day thing, and it's just not your thing at all, then maybe this will pique your interest. Several years ago, I had an idea for a for the welcome table, and I hollered at my good friend and cousin Brenda Weekly, and I will link her Facebook page in the comments below, Crafty Roots Boutique. And she was one of the first people that I knew who had started Cricut Crafts and had started wood designs. And I didn't know anybody else with a Cricut, and she was in California and I live in Missouri. And I was like, Brenda, you gotta help me out. I want to do this welcome table. And I was actually bumping off of a song from the 80s. And it was Bernie Higgins, Key Largo. And there was one line of the song, just like Bogey and Bacall, that I don't know, it has always stuck in my head. I hum it when I'm doing housework. It's catchy, it sticks with you, or it sticks with me anyway, and I absolutely love this song, and I like that one line, and then it sailing away to Key Largo. I don't know, there's just something about that song, and that I just absolutely love. And so I had an idea to do the welcome table with a Valentine's theme, and I had ordered a black and white picture off of eBay, Bogey and Bacall, and I had picked up a cinema picture at Hobby Lobby. And so I was like, Brenda, can you please do me just a very simple wood sign, just like Bogey and Bacall? That's all I want on it. She was, what kind of font? I was like, I don't care. This is the idea I had. She was like, do you know how much it's going to cost to ship this from California? And I said, I don't care. You're the only person that I know, literally, that can do this. Because I did not know anybody that was really into the wood crafts and the wood signs and the wood designs. And she has worked on it for so long, and she has really perfected this. It's just amazing. She does such cute things, and she's my football buddy too. And although she's a Niners fan, she is a homie. So anyway, so we kind of craft long distance together, and we football long distance together. So anyway, she made me this sign, and I started pulling this together. So this is where I kind of got the idea to do this tier tray. And so this year I thought, I'm just going to go ahead and do a full-on tier tray theme, because we have so many things other than Valentine's Day that goes on in February. There is the Super Bowl. There is, and Chiefs are playing this year. And go Chiefs. And then there's Valentine's Day. And then there's Mardi Gras. And for us, Mardi Gras is like something huge. It started out little, and then it's kind of steadily grown into something like really big. And so it's not just like Valentine's Day and this one and done thing for us. It's like, so I don't necessarily decorate for Valentine's Day. I give a nod to Valentine's Day. If that makes any sense. And so, and I like old movies. I love Humphrey Bogart. That may not be your jam. So you can take my inspiration and you can just maybe, tailor it and make it your own. Maybe you like some other thing. Maybe you like a different song. Maybe you like a different movie. But I'm a big Bogart fan. So anyway, come craft with me. For my first DIY, I bought a chalkboard sign at the Dollar Tree, and it came with 3 little tags, and they were attached with like a burlap ribbon, but that just popped right off. They were just stapled right on, and it just popped right off, and I didn't have to even sand where the staples came out. So I had a variety pack of beads that I had bought, and I was just trying to use up what I had. So I laid them out on the chalkboard sign just to try to make sure that I had enough beads for what I was going to do. And I really was not in the mood to run out. It is cold and I wanted to do this project because the mood had struck. So I wanted to make sure I had enough beads to finish this project. So it was either this size or another size. If I didn't have enough of this size, I was going to switch to another size. So once I had all of the beads counted out and laid out, I just chased them around the table until I got them all into a Ziploc bag. I put some apple barrel red acrylic paint in the Ziploc bag and squished them around until they were all coated with the paint, and then I just laid them out on a piece of parchment paper to dry. And that's how I painted my little wood beads. So I bought these stickers at Walmart. I believe they were about 98 cents. So I took the box of my paint markers and used them for a guide, and I just drew a straight line across my chalkboard sign. And then I just put my stickers out. I'm going to spell out cinema, so I put the C and I put the A, and then I'm going to fill in evenly spaced the other letters in between the C and the A, kind of how I wanted them to be placed on the sign. So a lot of people start at the end and work their way to the front. They start with the front and they work their way to the back. I just put my beginning and end, and then I fill in evenly in the middle. So it's however you feel comfortable, however you want to do it. I got these red letters at Walmart as well. I thought that they were a really good buy, and they really are actually kind of pretty. So my husband actually pointed them out and said, "Hey, look at these." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, I'm going to try these." And they have a really good back. I didn't really feel the need to Mod Podge these stickers because they have they stick really good. So once again, I started with the beginning of the word and the last letter of the word and kind of filled in the middle. And I used the tag that was on the chalkboard sign to kind of give me an even line. And I just kind of eyeballed the top word. I'm spelling free admission. Haha. Would be nice. And I'm kind of making a retro cinema sign, and it kind of has some retro vibes. So anyway, I've got my lettering all on, and then I decided maybe I wanted a little bit more beadwork. So I put some yellow apple barrel yellow paint, acrylic paint in my sack with a little bit of folk art glitter paint, and squished them all up in a little baggie and laid them out on some parchment paper to dry while I started putting my red beads on. I put the red beads on with the hole facing upward because like I said, I'm trying to do a retro sign, and I wanted it to kind of look like cinema bulbs. And so that's why I decided to do it with the holes facing upward. If you recreate this, you can do it however you want. Maybe you don't like that look. It all depends on your taste and however you think that a cinema sign should look. So I just put 2 or 3 little lines of hot glue and 2 or 3 little wood beads at a time, and it seemed to work out just fine, obviously, and you will see until I get to the end, and then it just decided to kick my booty. And so I had to kind of work it and rework it, and gave me a little bit of aggravation. I thought it was good, and then all of a sudden it just was not good at all. But then I put a little line of hot glue underneath my white paint marker sign and started applying the yellow, and just to give it some color and a little bit more razzmatazz. And once I had all of my lights, my cinema lights glued on, then I wanted it to stand up. So I put some Jenga blocks together, and I glued 2 Jenga blocks together because it is a little bit heavy, and I put 2 little wood beads there on the end of that white paint marker sign. But I put 2 Jenga blocks together, and then I glued 1 on each side. My next DIY is so very simple. I picked up a plain canvas. I used a 5x7. You can use whatever size you wish at the Dollar Tree. And I printed off a movie poster off of Google's image search. To Have and Have Not, Humphrey Bogart and Lauren Bacall, on plain white copy paper. I cut that out, and then I Mod Podged that to the canvas. Now I used a lot of Mod Podge on the edges because the canvas is very irregular and has a lot of nooks and crannies and crevices, and I did not want the edges to lift up. So I used a lot of Mod Podge on the edges and went around it a couple of times to make sure I had a really good solid coat. Then I had a picture frame that was falling apart, and so I used the back of it and hot glued that to my canvas and created a movie poster that would stand up. DIY number 3, I used the tag off of the chalkboard sign, and I used a hammer and an old ice pick, and I put a hole right through that little tag. And so you don't need a drill. And I used a hand sander that I picked up at Harbor Freight. Dollar Tree sells them, and so does Walmart. And I just made sure it was nice and smooth. And then I used some apple barrel black acrylic paint, and I painted the back sides around the sides. And then I just kind of covered up where it was kind of a synthetic looking galvanized color, and I painted that black. And I just colored in everything that was gray and made that black, and kept the white, and I made some little lines with my sponge, and I took my paint marker and wrote admit 1 and made a little stars, and that was step that was completed. My second step is I'm going to make a tassel, and I just used my marker, my paint marker box, and I just wrapped it probably about 30 times, and then I just wrapped the top with the jute twine that I picked up at the Dollar Tree, and then I just hot glued that and cut off, and then I just gave it a little bit of a haircut and made sure it was all nice and even, and I have a tassel. So I popped some popcorn. What I'm actually doing is I'm making a beaded tassel with a spin. Instead of beads, I am stringing popcorn to keep with a theater theme. So I just threaded my popcorn onto some plain old thread, and then I just tied it onto my tassel, my jute tassel that I had made, and then I put a little bit of hot glue onto the top of my tassel and glued it onto the popcorn because I thought it needed a little bit of stability. It is popcorn and not wood beads. And so then I just tied the end of my thread onto my admit one tag, and I did the same thing with my tag. I put a little bit of hot glue onto my tag and tied it and kind of secured it on a little bit with some jute twine to make it a little bit more sturdy, and I have a tassel. While I have my Pop Secret popcorn out, I have a popcorn bag. You can buy these at Walmart, and you can also buy these at the Dollar Tree. And you can also buy these in the plastic version if you don't want to use the paper. And I just stuffed this with some Walmart bags. And then I just put the popcorn on the top. I arranged it, and then I hot glued some of the pieces onto the top so that they wouldn't spill out, and made it so that it wouldn't the popcorn wouldn't be spilling all over the place. And once I had it all nice and secure in there, I took these skinny craft sticks that you can pick up at Walmart. Those are so handy for so many things. And I glued 2 on the back, and then I glued 2 kind of at an angle, and I put a lot of hot glue on the top, and then I just kind of held them with my finger until the hot glue dried so that it would stand up. DIY number 5 is really easy. I had a heavy piece of cardboard. You can use foam board. I thought I had a piece, and then lo and behold, I did not. So I measured it out, the length of my craft stick, and then used my craft knife and cut it out. I had bought these DIY chalkboard stickers at the Dollar Tree. I thought they were super duper cute, and I've been wanting to try them. They're as self-adhesive, so I just made sure that they were really good and stuck to my cardboard. And then instead of dragging my paints out, I used my paint markers, and I painted 2 of my craft sticks black. And then I took my black paint marker, and I just went along the edges of my cardboard, and I gave it a nice finished look so that the edges of the cardboard wouldn't show behind the hangover of the chalkboard sticker. And then I took my white craft marker, paint marker, and I just made some diagonal lines onto the paint stick or the craft stick that had already dried. And I did 2 of those. And I love these paint markers. They're really neat to work with if you're doing like little detail work. And I just hot glued them to the top of my little board, one straight, one diagonal, to make a little director board type look. And then I took my craft stick and kind of used it as a guide to make 3 little lines on my little director board, and I wrote director, production, and date on top of the 3 little lines. I used 2 Jenga blocks or 2 tumbling tower blocks and glued them together, and then I glued them to the back of my little director board so that it would stand up on my tier tray. My next DIY, I wanted to create a film roll, so I took 3 craft sticks, and the third craft stick I cut into 2 about 1.5 inch sections and hot glued them together. And then I used my wire cutters for that. And then I took my sanding block and kind of smoothed down the rough edges. I used my black acrylic apple barrel paint and painted the whole thing. I did let it dry for about 45 minutes, and I did set it aside while I worked on my next DIY. You'll see that just laying there. And then I took my white craft marker and I put little white dots all along the edges to make the film roll. So I had an idea to make a roll of film, a film stock. So I had some big plastic buttons just knocking around in my stash. So I took those big plastic buttons and some DAP latex caulk that I had from a previous project, and so I just filled those buttons with the caulk and spread it out. I had an empty roll of ribbon, and so I just cut the inside roll of that ribbon, and I used a couple of pieces and hot glued that to the inside of those 2 pieces of buttons. And I had some ribbon that was kind of filmy and gossamer and just kind of looked like film roll. And so I cut that ribbon down to fit inside those 2 buttons and to make it look like film. And so I just cut and wound that on the inside of that little production reel until I got enough to where it looked like film stock. And then I had some folk art glitter, silver glitter paint, and I decided to put that on the outside of the caulk to give it just a little bit of shimmer, and then I decided that it needed something else. So I took 4 little wooden beads and to have it on a stand. And I took my black apple barrel latex acrylic paint, and I decided to paint my feet. When it got to the point where I couldn't get my sponge into that, I got into my husband's paints and got his little fine brushes and got into the little nooks and crannies and finished painting my feet so that I had a proper coverage. And I have a film stock. For my last DIY, I wanted to make a book stack. And so I took the wooden crates that you can buy at the Dollar Tree, and I just primarily covered the entire book stack with black acrylic paint, the Apple Barrel black acrylic paint. And I got into all of the edges with the black paint. I painted the inside as well because I found that that's the best way to get the inside of those edges painted. And I wanted a really good distressed look, and so I didn't want any of those edges to be glaring, and I wanted a really good coverage, so I went ahead and painted the inside. So I painted the bottom black, and then the inside, and then on the outside edges, I went ahead with the black, about what would be halfway up. And then I went with the Parfait Pink Apple Barrel, and I kind of mixed it in with the black because I didn't want a very bright pink. So it didn't bother me that I had some black in there because I was going to mix it anyway. So I just kind of mixed it in with the pink on the second half of the book stripe. And I just kind of played with my colors, and I just kind of blended in with the black, and I put my pink in. And some people don't like, a really distressed look. If that's not your taste, and you want a defined look, you can always tape that off and do it differently. But I like for my paint to be, kind of blended. So that's just how I chose to do it. And so then I went with a little baby wipe, and I kind of blended the sides in so that it would look more like pages of a book. So then I went over the top with white Apple Barrel paint, and once again kind of blended in the black, and I kind of use a little bit of a baby wipe, kind of blend in with the black, and kind of mix my colors. And then I go over the sides with all of the colors and kind of make my book stack and my pages kind of blend in a little bit. You can always lay down painter's tape and have a more defined look. I just have always blended in the sides, and so that it looked like pages of the book. I love these little book stacks. I think they're an adorable addition to tiered trays. I hope they never go out of style. I know a lot of crafters do them. Everybody has their own take, and everybody does everything different, and that's the beauty of crafting. You can just find all kinds of different designs and inspirations and styles, and you can just create whatever you like. And it's a wonderful experience. You just sit down and just let your imagination run wild. But once I have the paint all laid out, then it's time to put down the letters. I'm using the letters that I picked up at Walmart, and I'm going to spell out maybe just whistle. And I try to start with the last letter of the word and work to the front. And that way I get my placement in the right place. So I'm sticking with the Bogart and Bacall theme. So that was Lauren Bacall's famous line, you know how to whistle, Steve. You just put your lips together and blow. So anyway, I like to do things the hard way, so I had to sit and think about what I was spelling out, but I got my letters on. Then it was time to put on the ribbon. I picked up this ribbon at the Dollar Tree. It was velvet ribbon. It is not wired. It was a little bit too wide, so I did have to cut it down. And so I hot glued it on to the side of my book stack. And for my bow, I did a very simple bow. Once I got all that hot glued on, I just looped my ribbon together and hot glued it. I did 2 loops and hot glued that together, and then I cinched it in the middle, and I took some florist wire and wrapped it together. And I took a little tiny piece of ribbon and covered up my florist wire, and I hot glued that onto the top of my book stack. I picked up some foam roses at the Dollar Tree. I've used them on so many projects. And then I had a heart pick that I put at the top of the book stack because it is Valentine's Day after all. Just a nod. This is my final reveal. Crafting with me. 8 little DIYs for a tier tray with a movie theme. I hope that you can kind of take that and make something inspiring and different of your own. Maybe you're an old movie buff and just like me, or maybe you're just a new movie buff, and so you can just kind of make your tier tray look the way that you want it. But I hope that you found something different and fun to do. So thank you for crafting with me today. Thank you for spending time with me. I do really appreciate it, and I appreciate all of your support. If you haven't hit that subscribe button already, then please hit the subscribe button and hit that bell so that you know when I've uploaded my next video, and give me a thumbs up and leave me a comment. And I really like to interact with each and every one of you. And thank you for watching Crafts Lasting Chaos. You have a really great day.